again in the new podcast. We are here with Arif Jilani. That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yes? Yeah. Okay, perfect. He is a producer of animated feature films and series at Barajoun Entertainment, which is one of the leading animation and visual effects studios in the MENA region based in Dubai. Arif is an award-winning producer with over 20 years of experience of driving success in feature films, series, and cinematic. He's an experienced professional in areas such as budgeting, planning, film building, which is very important, and production, post-production on international assignments. So Arif, please talk to us about what, in your experience, are the most important qualities of an executive producer.
Well, first of all, I'm very thankful for you to inviting me on this podcast and to share my views, my experience with your audience. So just to give you a quick overview about the company, because we talk about, so the company name is actually the Barajoun Entertainment, and it's a first and the leading animation and the visual effects studio in Dubai, based in MENA region, and the only one animation studio who has a capability and ability to produce the complete animated feature film and the series. We started in operation in Dubai in 2013, and we started with our first animated feature film, which is called the BILAL, a new breed of hero. It got many successes. It's on 100 best animated feature films of all time. On 2018, we were on top 10 on IMDb. Before the COVID came, we released this movie in 25 territories theatrically, and now that's available worldwide on digital platforms, including some of the leading platforms like Netflix, Stars, Amazon Primes, and Apple TV.
Wow,
we received
that's great.
And we received the award in Cannes Film Festival also. In Animation Day of the Cannes, we received the Best Inspired Movie Award. Along with this, we received many awards. And this movie we have released in all the major film festival, NSC, Shanghai Film Festival, Berlin Film Festival, and many more. So this is how we started here. Just to give you before my more experience about this industry. So I have more than 20 years of experience in this industry. I worked on many of the Hollywood and the Bollywood movies before I started to produce my own content. And the reason to produce the own content, because we thought there are some of the heroes which history has forgotten, and we would like to bring it back. And that's the reason we started with first feature film, BILAL. And our second feature film, which may relate more to your audience, which is called the Mirlo the Magical Opus. This is based upon Spain, the 10th century of the Spain, where people love to use the music. They still love the music, but that's where musical animated feature film which we're working on. It's again high budget animated feature film, and many more illicit celebrities gonna attach with this movie. We have already finished the pre-production of this movie and currently working on the production now. And plus, the good thing about many of the Spanish artists and the Latin artists join us in this movie, as we thought that's more important because there's more culturally related to the Latin or the Spanish market. Regarding your question about the executive producer role, so in some, if I talk about in one liner, you have to deliver the agreed quality within the timeline and the provided budget. That's the main role of any executive producer. But then it's, if you extend it, then it's, executive producer have to control all the department of the movie. Means initially it started from the recruitment. There has to be one recruitment head, but then executive producer who's the one who can decide it and make the final decision based upon the budget and availability. The reason we opened the operation in Dubai rather than any other part of the world, because we thought there are many talented artists lives in India, China, Pakistan, Malaysia, Singapore, and they were not getting enough opportunity to work on the animated feature film of the higher budget. Even though they had a good experience, they are very skilled, and always they used to move from their Asia to the North America or the Europe to produce or to work on their on some animated feature film series. So we thought there are the talents here. Why not to explore those talent and give them an opportunity to work? And it's close to the Eastern Europe also, Dubai. So again, we can get the right talent from there also. When we're working on our first animated feature film, Bilal, we recruited 23 different nationals from around the world. More than 150 artists at a time were working inside our studio.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a lot. But that's great because you give opportunities to students from that side of the, or students or professionals from that side of the world that they also need, like they really want to explode their talent, and we can see also talent in that side. So that's
yeah.
great.
That's important also because we see in North America or Europe there are the many studios and artists get the opportunity there. But there are few other talented artists you can find in the Asia too, and they don't get the right opportunity because of the lacks of the studio or the budget or the distribution network. So we thought and decided and started the operation here. And you know that industry or overall the world they're diversifying, and we believe on diversity inclusion also, and we decided to do operation and keep continue here. We started with first one, but that's also not last one. We are working on second one that I talk about. Plus there are four more animated feature film in different parts of the production and five more animated series also. So we are working on the complete slates of currently five animated feature film and five animated series, and some are actually going to release very soon on the major platforms, and some we have decided to release when the cinema get open completely.
Wow. Now, I am very curious, and maybe the audience, many here in Latin America, there are many producers, but I really want to know as well what kind of skills are very important in the role. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a good sense of business, or are they able to sell or able to reach that financial agreement with another producers or the director or investors? What are the key or the important keys of that role?
Okay, so this industry is very diversifying, and there are the different skills you required. Even though when I was in the student, I got the education of animation in Australia, and that time I thought, okay, maybe I would become a journalist, and then I could do many things at the same time. Do the animation, can do the lighting of my shots, modeling it myself. But that's not the reality. Once you move to the professional environment, you require the specific skills. Means if you are the modeler, you have to be professional modeler, and you have to be a very good skills on your own software, and plus the statics too. So like if you are the modeler, you have to be very strong on, especially in the ZBrush or the Maya,
Right.
what are the software. If you work as a texturing artist, you have to be a solid understanding of the Mari, which is the latest texturing tool, plus Photoshop. If you are the CFX, it means you're working on cloth and hair simulation or working with the similar department. If you're working with the hair, you have to be strong in the Yeti and hair, Jort. There are many other softwares too. Also, if you're working on the cloth, you have to be solid in cloth and cloth. So these are the specific software where you have to be strong enough and have to be professional. It's I would always recommend students to dedicate themselves on one department and then move to the other department rather than to try to work on parallel department, because that's will not work. You may work for the short-term projects, but when you work for the feature film, sometimes it takes 3 to 4 years time to complete. And that time you have to love your job, you have to love with your school, and you have to keep develop those also. And industry has been evolving. We have seen there are Unreal Engine also. New technologies are coming too. In lighting department now, Katana, which is and the RenderMan are there, which we are using our this and next animated feature film, and we found very good as compared to the previous software. So I mean, there are the new lighting softwares coming, render engines and coming. So it's better you learn those skills And the most important along with this one also, I mean, you have to keep improve your aesthetics skills too, along with the technical skills. So, so if you talk about the opportunity, there are tons of the opportunity. Simply in an animation movie, there are hundreds of the skills required in the different departments, from the concept artist to the storyboard artist, texturing artist, modeling artist, cloth artist, hair artist. Then you have the separate setups department, rigging department, skin department. If you're going for mocap, you've got motion capture artists, then lighting, rendering, compositing, color grading. So like hundreds of the skills required you have, and there are so many opportunity, but the opportunity would come to you only if you are skilled enough and you have a right talent and you're dedicated to your own skills.
Right, exactly. Now, talking about what you mentioned before about the budgeting and the also how to secure the funding of a film project or a series project. So, how is the process to find, like, for example, an investor or programs that can provide sufficient funding to complete the production pipeline within the stipulated time and the budget and decide the artistic and technical standards of a film?
There are many other options actually. So before COVID, I thought there was a limited option. After the COVID, there are more options. And the reason was when initially we used to work on the movie, there has to be budget of at least $20 million. This is how they started. And if you seize the Pixar budget or the Disney budget, they are like reached to the $150 million. So typically, if you seize before the COVID came, like 2019, the average animation budget was around $50 million. So you could assume like you require at least $20 million to produce any animated feature films. But after the COVID, the industry has changed completely. Now the platform are seeking more content. They are seeking the animated feature films. They are seeking the animated series. And those who don't require to be high budget because they are not going to release only in the theater, but their first medium would be the platforms, especially the SWOT platforms. I mean, so the budget can start from the feature films actually now from the $2 million, you know. So I mean, so which is a less one amount. And if you work for the animated series, like per minute cost could be like $20,000, you know. So I mean, as compared to the market before, the market has shrink down, the budget has shrink down, but the quality and the technology has been evolving, which is helping to produce the good quality content. Okay, so to how we can this the investment or how we can find the funding? There are the many other options. Okay, so first one is if you are the producer, you could initially invent like few $1,000s, let us assume like 10, 20, $30,000. You can make a budget yourself and make a very good pitch. I mean, once you talk about the pitch, means you have to have a proper concept design. You have to have at least 3 episodes ready because this is usually the platform asks to evaluate your project. They usually require the proof of concept. 2 means a small teaser or trailer were required, which could make it in like $20,000 to $30,000. You could have a very good pitch deck ready, and then you can approach to the platforms. If they like the project, sometimes they're gonna take this as an original. Means if they're gonna select your product as an original, you would have limitless opportunity because they're gonna invest on your movie rather than you from their point of view. So maybe you can co-own the IP, you can own the animated series, and they can own the IP too. So you can co-own, or you can give the rights to them also, and then they can invest completely.
But only you own the IP if you only put the money, if you are the producer.
Yes. Yeah, but initially you are putting the money. Okay. So there are 2 ways. So initially you are putting the money, initially investment where you produce or created the IP, or you created the animated series pitch deck or the film pitch deck. So you can still own the IP. I mean, there are the different of the agreement. I mean, either you can own the IP, you can sell them an exclusive, means you're gonna put your complete money on the movie, and then they will give you premium fees for this. And this you can have the IP also. Plus, you can later on sell as non-exclusive on the different platform also, because I assume if A platform is buying your movie and they're taking as NAM exclusive, means you can sell the similar movie to the another one also, the B platform with the non-exclusive. So here you can earn the money also. This is the reason you see some of the movies or series release on Netflix at the same time they're releasing on HBO Max or Disney Plus or Apple TV, because those you consider them as non-exclusive. So this is the one way. There are the other ways too. In all the territories or the region, there are the film funds where you promote the culture and you get the funding accordingly. So you can always approach to them. Assume if you're from Latin America, you are promoting the Latin funds, the Latin culture, then you can approach to the Latin funds too for the promotion or the country. You know? So as I know, there are like hundreds of the film funds around the world, and you can always approach. Okay, if you would not even avail on this option, there's a third option too, and which is the crowdfunding. And there's a Kickstarter and the other platforms too. You can go and then go for the funding. We have seen many companies in the past, they got success from the crowdfunding. So that's another option too. One more option is that the region fund investors or so you can always approach to them, the individual investors, and you can ask the money based upon the assumption you made. So means, I mean, once you go and speak to them, you have to have the proper pitch deck ready, which include the financials also. So they would see where you're going to sell your movie. Just to give in more detail, when you present to the investors, you have to complete the 360 way how you can recover the money, because just in point or two, putting and no investor would not be interested if they would not see the complete picture of the return back. So if you talk about the movie, so movie usually released first on the theatrical platforms, theater, where you make from the box office. It's just to give you the quick formula, usually the box office, you get the return 15%, 50%, because 50% exhibitors or the cinema takes the money from you. Then there's an opportunity you could release on TVOD platforms also. The TVOD platform means iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime. On the typically they used to take like 30% and they give you return back 70%. And TVOD, you don't require any distributor, you could release your own sell with the different aggregators. Then there is a biggest market which we have, which is an SWOT platform, which is the Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, Apple TV, and many more. I mean, they give you a handsome amount, which is spread out. I mean, if they are buying as an original, they will give you a good money. Then there's an opportunity for the exclusive and non-exclusive too. Then you have the opportunity to release on AVOD platform too. AVOD platform like advertisement-based, which is that YouTube. In parallel, you can release on in-flight entertainment, which is different aeroplanes. You can sell this movie. You can sell to the ships also, the hotels and motels you can sell. You can release the Blu-ray and DVD. Blu-ray and DVD, you typically get like 10% because distributor charge the physical product they make for you. Later on, you can sell to the pay TV and free-to-air also. So there are many ways to sell. And once you make the IP, these are not the only limit you have. If you own the IP, if this got successful, means you would have a lot merchandising value. Means you can make the comic of the product, you can make the collectible, toys, educational materials, and many more. Unfortunately, as I know, not many producer knows all these details. But again, the movie is not the only medium to get the refunds from the box office or theater. There are many more ways to get the refund. And if you give the clear picture to the investor, for sure they're going to put the money.
And for example, like for starters, for companies here that they are starting to make their Bibles, and they're starting also they're starting to make the Bible, and they want to go to a festival, or in the United States, or in Europe, or here in Latin America. So that's like all what you have said are fundings that they can apply crowdfunding, and also the investor, and if you want to be the producer, you have to put money in the IP and all of this. You have to take it you have to be very secure of what you want and how much your movie or your series will be, like an approximation, how many episodes as well. So is it common, or is it a good way to start to go to these kind of festivals and to pitch the Bible and get the attention of investors, and probably not giving the IP, just like partner with the investor? If there's a possibility like that?
Yes, I mean, that's another good option too. Uh, you make the Bible or the pitch deck, uh, and then you can go to the film festival and pitch to the different distributors and platforms. And if they got the interest on your movie, on the series, there are more chances to develop. So this is usually happens. But when you're the starter, there are the less chances because the industry has many
Right.
known producers, the platforms or the studio. They usually takes the movie from their side, and that's the reason you see main IPs currently on major platforms, the very known IPs, rather than unknown IPs. You see it. Yeah,
Right.
but that's a possibility. But there are many more options too, also, as we discussed.
Right.
Like you make a as detailed presentation you would have, as detailed Bible you would have, with some of the renders. You can develop some of the key movements. You can have at least couple of minutes of the teaser or trailer. This will help you to sell the movie or the series more easily. Rather, you would go with some of only with the concept design may not work.
Yeah, like being more visual. We are more in a visual environment now.
Exactly.
Now,
yeah. Yeah, this distributor, they usually ask for the proof of concept also, because they would like to see how the end product look like. And if you're only sharing the concept design, they may not reflect the end output. So they may not get interest, even though you say, look, like you will deliver something like Disney or Pixar, they're not going to rely, but this is not as possible to deliver as close to the Disney and Pixar. But if you made something magical, if you have the teaser trailer ready, they will get more interest on you.
Of course. And is it true that in the distribution part is where the money really, you see the money, not in the movie? Just is more in the like when you would like Disney, when Disney makes a movie and then they make like toys and T-shirts and hats and all this kind of merchandising, they make more money from there, which I've been investigating. They make more money than they're done in the movie.
That's a very good thought also, and we have seen this one, but it's not applicable with all the movies. If we talk about typically like maybe the Star Wars, they make it $1 billion from the box office, but we see every year they sell $3 billion or earn $3 billion from the merchandising. That depends upon the IP. How big is your IP? If the IP is big, then it earns more money from the merchandising rather than from the box office. If your IP is not as big, then for sure you may not earn more money from the merchandising, and you have to focus more on the theatrical release or the platform release. We see many of the IPs develop like Angry Bird or the Man Memo. They get so much money from their merchandising and as compared to from their movie. But yeah, for the startup, it may not be that easy. Yeah, but few years time when their IP gonna develop, they can have the good money from their merchandising.
And when you say the IP needs to be strong and solid, what you're referring to the content of the series or the movie?
Yeah, it has to be unique content. That's very important. Because if you are making something which already you're seeing from the Disney or from the DreamWorks or the Sony ImageWorks, and you put in a similar one, you were not able to stand out because they are very good on their own IPs or their own quality. So you have to be a standout. You have to produce something different. This is what we did actually when we work on the Bilal. So our Bilal movie quality are more or less same like game cinematic quality, which attracted more game cinematic audience. The second movie has a completely different style we have. So yeah, first thing is important. There has to be specific style. There has to be unique story. So these few are the important, and most important, I mean, you have to produce a good quality, because in the market there's so much competition. If your quality is not adequate, then it may get less chances to get the better distributor.
Yeah, of course. Now, well, thank you for all the advices, Arif. And we want to talk about also with the market in Dubai, since you are there. How are opportunities built, and what kind of content are you looking for in these days?
Yeah, so Dubai, it's a very diversified society, or the city. So there are only 10% locally here lives here, 90% are expat. And the city has completely new build, and you see every time in the news with the biggest building or the biggest mall. And recently there's one of the beautiful building they have made with the name of the future of museum, which they made in Dubai. So Dubai, in terms of the content, and as I remember, like there are around 200 nationals, or more or less 180 plus nationals in Dubai. So they love more to the good quality of the contents. This is how they see it here. So in terms of the content, they sees, and plus on the other hand, there are new platforms are coming to Dubai also. Netflix, they have a very solid foundation here. On the other hand, we have a Shahid as a platform, then Stars Arabia we have, then Amazon Prime, HBO Max, and Disney Plus also coming to the Dubai or MENA region. So if you talk about the Dubai is a city, but on the other hand, we see the MENA is the fastest growing region in terms of the subscriber. In last 2-3 years, they have gained 300 plus subscriber. Means people who like to watch the new content and the quality content. As compared to the other market, the MENA has a capacity to get subscribe on them as compared to the Asia or the other African market, where the people may not have enough capacity or ability to get subscribe or take the subscription from of a major platform.
In regards to talent and recruiting the appropriate staff for a film, what kind of places do you look in to find talent? Maybe many Latin Americans that are watching the podcast, they really want to work with you, or at least you can see their portfolios and give them feedback. Where can I find you, and how do you find the talent?
Yeah, I mean, so there are a few criteria we usually go for. So first important, something which we have, if we are seeking the experienced artist or the seeking the senior artist, we usually share their IMDb credit and their portfolio. But you don't require all the time the senior artist. Sometimes you require the intermediate and junior too, and we recruit those also. For them, we require more passion, energy, and and especially their love with this in the industry, along with their portfolio. So it's not important to have a very good movie on your portfolio, but it's important to have a good portfolio. And for that, I mean, I have recruited some of the artists which they even had only the portfolio on ArtStation, and we found those were amazing, and we recruited them as a concept designer. So like we had a team of the Chinese artists, like we recruited 4 Chinese artists when working on last movie, and they had a good portfolio. On ArtStation, we found interesting. They were not able to speak English that time also properly, but they were good, talented us, and we took to them. And when they came here, they started to learn English and they developed their skills. So it's important to have and to love to this industry, first thing. And yeah, always focus, as I told you, on the specialization. So if you are the good modeler, if you like to pursue your career in the modeling, you have to make something exceptional. You have to meet the industry benchmark. So see whatever you see in the movie, you have to meet and produce a similar sort of the quality. That would help them a lot to get the chance on different studios, especially with the good ones.
And do you have Latin artists within your team or in the movies? Yes, from which countries? Colombia, Mexico, Argentina?
I mean, we mainly had the artists from the Spain. The last movie we recruited to them, I don't remember we have any artists from the Latin America, but I used to work with them. There are the few of the companies in Argentina and Brazil. I had the ex-colleagues from Brazil and Uruguay too. So I worked with them and I found those were the talented one. And plus, we have been working still with some of the studio in Argentina, with our, especially with our architectural visualization stuff. So they help us on these stuff.
Oh, that's amazing. That's good to hear. So you're open to new talent from new countries, for example, Costa Rica or El Salvador, Guatemala. Maybe you more.
Yes. Of course. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, like we have been working with, like as I told you, when we worked with last movie, we had 23 different nationals. So we are, I mean, as I told you again, we have the diversified environment, and we would love to bring the talents from around the world, especially who had the good skills and the good portfolio.
That's great. Well, Arif, your final words to our audience that are seeing the podcast and are like, okay, I really want to contact now, Arif. What are your final words for our audience?
Yeah, so I mean, we are the Barajoun Entertainment, and we are open for many ways for the Latin market too. So if there are some of the distributors they would like to see our upcoming animated feature films, or they say they can feel free contact to us. If they are open for the co-production also, means the co-production, like we have the content, they would help us to develop those. We are open on that too. If there are some of the good studios in Latin market and they would like to take the project from us, plus we are open. And most important, we are open for all the talented artists lives in the Latin American market. They can feel free to apply to Barajoun Entertainment, because every quarter we hire new artists based upon the requirement of our shows. And after mid of this year, we're going to hire many more artists, as we are starting our one more animated feature films